Oh no, there was an error. Okay, we should be live. These are always experimental, these live events. And we hope that they work out okay. So for those of you joining and just joining up, please, I'm going to type this in. Please introduce yourselves. Okay. Okay, so I've put up, you can see, there's a delay and I see myself looking lost. So please, if you are joining us, introduce yourselves. Let us know who you are and where you came from. It's always nice to know. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite topics, which is edible beauty care. I'm going to share with you, and we'll wait until it's official, until we've officially started. So for those of you who join early, you get to ask your questions early. That's like one of the benefits and bonuses. Let's just see here. Okay, we're waiting for everyone to come online. It always takes a few moments. Okay, our guests are coming on. And maybe you can share the link right to the. Okay, we're gonna get started in the because it's time. It's 12:01, so we're gonna get started. So what I'm gonna cover today, and hopefully you've had a chance to read today's featured blog post about Arbonne. And in that post, I raised some issues. And these are really important issues we need to consider when it comes to choosing our beauty care products. So a lot of companies will promote and share and cheerlead for all the things that are not in their products, but what about the things that are in there? And so it's great to have a product that is free of all these chemicals and all these things, but what we really want to focus on is not what's not in there, but what we're actually going to be rubbing on and absorbing into our bodies. So some of the things that I raised in today's post was the idea of using organic oils, and I'll explain why further, non-synthetic ingredients so that they're really from the plants, not like from the plants and through several chemistry labs and tests and experiments, looking at the total load of these cosmetics on our body. So not just what one cream will do, but what happens if we've got a cream and a soap and an exfoliant and a moisturizer and shave gel and all these other things we could be putting on our skin that creates an overall toxic load. So we look at all of those things. And when it comes to looking at the edible beauty care component, we want ideally the things we use to be as user-friendly, as delicious, as edible as anything we might throw in our blender. So today we're going to talk about why our beauty care products matter, how we choose essential oils, because these are the topics that people wanted to talk about, essential oils. And then also I'm going to do a little live demo of some of my fave products, and then we'll have time for Q&A at the end. So I'm starting to see everyone join. I see all these familiar people like Rachel and Holly and Ashley and Jessica in Baltimore and Jude. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. And I know more will be coming. Usually happens within 10 minutes. We're all fully loaded. So the first thing is, why does edible beauty care matter? Well, I know a lot of you are familiar with what I do and you've heard this all before, but essentially we're in the kitchen today because everything we put on our skin is essentially edible. So whatever we put on our skin will end up in our body. And that's why it's so important that we pay attention to the quality of our beauty care products. And a lot of people will make their beauty care products and they want to go buy, like the cheap coconut oil or the cheap oils because they think it doesn't matter. But the thing is it almost matters more. What happens when you put an oil on? So I've got my jar of coconut oil, same one I use when I bake my muffins and my cookies and make my pancakes. When you take out your coconut oil and you rub it on your skin, what you're doing is moisturizing your skin. And what that is it's essentially absorbing those fat molecules into your skin, and you're moisturizing from the outside in. And when we absorb, we have to know that our skin is the largest organ of the body. And so what we're actually doing is taking in whatever we put on our skin, is absorbing through our skin, into our skin, and then beginning to circulate. So when we eat food, we're chewing, we're digesting, we have enzymes that break things down. They go through all kinds of detoxification, our liver, our kidneys, all of those things happen. And so the body can tolerate a certain toxic load. But what we're aiming to do with the function of the body and reducing the intake and toxins in our food that we eat by avoiding things like chemical agriculture and choosing more organic is that we're trying to reduce the overall toxic load. But then we go for a mani-pedi and we go and we do all these things, get massages with toxic oils, forgetting to realize that it's just the same as eating it. It's absorbing, but almost worse because it's bypassing a lot of the organs and natural occurring detoxification systems in the body. So it's actually absorbing straight in, going right into the bloodstream. The bloodstream flows almost directly side by side with the lymphatic system, which is part of our detoxification system. So it goes into the bloodstream and starts circulating. And a couple things to know. So mostly what we're putting on our skin typically is oil-based moisturizers. And you'll often see them advertised as like no greasy residue left behind. So they're actually adding emollients to these products to help them absorb into the skin even faster. So a couple things we need to know about fat. And this is why I recommend we eat a lot of fat, but that we eat really good quality fat, is fat helps shuttle things into the body. Beyond vitamins A, D, E, and K, our fat-soluble vitamins, it also helps shuttle toxins. It can also help shuttle volatile compounds. So if we're cooking with turmeric, let's say, and we want to get that curcumin in, these fat-soluble compounds need fat to actually help shuttle them in. The flip side of that is it can also help shuttle in toxins. So if you're mixing your beauty care products, you're using beauty care products that are loaded with other kinds of toxic ingredients, chemicals, synthetics, that fat is helping to shuttle those right into the body and right into the bloodstream. Very, very important to note because, our food supply is questionable at best, but those products are tested as food ingredients. What goes into our cosmetic products, let's say fragrance, for example, the ingredient fragrance, as we see on a label, can contain as many as 3,000 different ingredients. And even if they're listed as natural fragrance, usually natural fragrance, if it's a natural fragrance, it'll say essential oil of whatever it might be. So even if it says natural, a fragrance is a fragrance. It's still a lot of processing. I would actually say it's still synthetic. It's not natural. There's no fragrance trees outside. You can't take, you can take pine leaves off a tree and you like smush them up, the pine needles, and you can like smell that pine. It doesn't happen with fragrance. So what happens is that you're shuttling in these synthetic chemicals. They're going straight into your bloodstream. And just like these fats act as a shuttle for these synthetic chemicals, our body also contains fat cells. And those toxins love to hang out in fat cells. And a lot of the sex organ-related cancers like breast cancer, where we have a high concentration of fat cells, will collect the higher toxic load. And same with, when we've got cellulite, that's toxic buildup in our fat cells. That's why skin brushing is so good, because it moves the lymph around, massages those cells, and helps to detoxify those cells. So that's something really important to consider, that when we're putting on these cosmetic ingredients, the fat base, the oil base, is acting as a shuttle. Now, if we're using non-organic oils in our beauty care, or GMO oils, and that would be things like cottonseed oil, soybean oil, sometimes sunflower, safflower oil, depending on the oil bases, they're also not just shuttling the chemicals in, but they were grown with chemicals. So cotton is one of the highest sprayed crops in the world. And it's not regulated like a food crop. So it has more, strawberries are one of the most pesticide-laden food crops. But in terms of, in general, cotton is one of the highest because it's not grown as a food. It has more chemical load. It also is in your clothes. So it's something to consider when you're buying clothes. Always wash them first because all that stuff is sprayed. You combine it with the moisturizers you put on your skin and you're suddenly becoming the shuttle for the chemicals in your clothes too. That's a topic for another day. I'm in grade 9. I actually did a project. I was into fashion then, not health and nutrition, but I did a project on the chemicals found in cotton. It was because I had to take science class and I thought I hated it. Funny how those things change. So we've got our oil and we want to make sure that any cosmetic product we're using is in a very clean oil base so that we are not absorbing that extra toxic load. We can't control our exposure to a lot of toxins in our environment, even sometimes with food. But the cosmetics we use, the body care products we use, the home cleaning products we use, those are some of the easiest things to switch over. And it's so, so, so important. There, you can look in, there's different studies about the increased rates of cancer amongst hairdressers who are using toxic hair dyes, amongst manicurists. It's really important that the choices we make for our own natural beauty care serve us and the people who are providing that service. And I have a couple of videos. We actually have a resource. If you go to the Arbonne Post, a resource for my top natural beauty care resources. So with that being said, we want to ensure that our beauty care products are as crisp and clean as possible because we don't want that extra toxic load. We have more toxins in our body than our cells know what to do with. Does anyone know what happens? I can't really ask these questions because there's a delay and I'll end up standing here for a while. I'll let you guess before I say anything. You can write in your answer. But the answer is that with too much toxins, more than your body can actually support, you end up with this higher toxic load and you end up essentially with more than your immune system can handle, with more than your body can detoxify, it starts to affect your DNA, and that's when cancer can grow and proliferate. So these toxins do matter. And we start looking at things like self-tanners and tooth whiteners and all these completely unnecessary products. It starts to increase this load dramatically in a way that is easily avoided. So does anyone have any questions at this point? Waiting for some questions to come up, but it's a slow process. So before I get into the demo, I did want to talk a little bit about essential oils as well. Essential oils are something people talk about a lot. I've got a couple in here. I love my oils. If you look online, you can usually find some guidelines to buying oils. What I recommend you do when you're looking for what oils to buy is not to look at the companies that make or sell their own oils, or more specifically, not to look at the people who are consultants for companies that sell oils, but really look at the products themselves. There's a lot of third-party testing that is done on essential oils to check their purity. And what's happened is that there's a lot of oils that are promoted as pure, but then when you go and they've done the studies, it shows synthetic contamination showing up. And one company that I looked into claimed that this came in from being mixed in different barrels, but at the same time, they're saying their oils are coming from all over the world. So really do your research because, where the oil you use for your cosmetic products can carry a toxic load and bypass your organs of detoxification. Essential oils are that much more, oh, that smelled so nice, are that much more concentrated. So when you're inhaling an oil, it's like inhaling anything. It's like inhaling gasoline on the other side of the spectrum. It goes straight through, bypasses the blood-brain barrier. It goes straight into the brain. That's why pure essential oils, you smell them and it's just like your brain starts dancing. No matter whether you like the smell or not, it has that kind of effect on the pure oils. And when you start getting to know your oils, the nose always knows. And when you compare, say, you know, a $20 bottle of peppermint oil with like a $5 or $10 bottle of peppermint oil, you can tell the difference, and you can tell the difference between synthetics. And I often notice it more in the sweeter, like geranium and jasmine and ylang and lavender. The cheap ones smell like, I always say granny's underwear drawer, but it sounds kind of gross, but like bad potpourri, like bad fake synthetic fragrance. So when we start looking at essential oils, we want to get them food grade. And some call them medicinal grade. There isn't a real regulation around any of this. But what I would recommend doing is really investigate the companies you're looking at from third parties, as opposed to from the people themselves who directly profit off you buying them. But you want to get the best quality you can, and often you get what you pay for. In most cases, I'd say in all cases, you get what you pay for. And what's really amazing when you use essential oils in their pure extracted form, you hardly need any at all. So they are more expensive, but if one bottle like this has 150 drops and you only need 1 or 2 drops in one beauty care product, or you only need 1 drop in your aromatherapy diffuser, they go a long way. And so the ways that I like to use essential oils when I combine them with my natural beauty care is that I will actually, and you'll notice that I keep these in the kitchen for many reasons, because I make all my beauty care products in the kitchen. I make all my home cleaning products. So in my book, The Undiet Cookbook, which is coming out in October, I actually have a bunch of recipes in there. But one of them is for like there's ingredients, there's recipes for, actually it's not in the book. I think it's in the C&E program. That's where I have those new home care recipes. But I use lemongrass and I use tea tree and I use eucalyptus. I use all that I make my own home cleaning products when I'm mopping the floor, when I'm spraying down the counters, fridge handles. You don't want to be using toxic ingredients there where you're putting your food down either. So I keep them in the kitchen because I use them in my food. I use them in elixirs. I use them in salad dressings, and then I use them in beauty care products as well. And these are the purest that I can find, and I trust the person who is offering these and selling these fully and completely. And so these are the ones that I use, and I use them throughout my home. The cheap essential oils that a lot of people will start to use for aromatherapy, you still don't want to be inhaling them. I really don't know what you would use those ones for. It's just not worth it. You don't get the same power. It's like buying cheap supplements. If you're going to go that route and you want to do that, get the good quality. Just maybe you don't buy as many different ones, but you buy like a couple that you love and you use those up, and then you get a few more. The other thing I'd recommend if you're using essential oils in any beauty care really is you don't want to heat it too much. So you'll see those diffusers where you put like the drops of oil in and light a candle. You're essentially oxidizing those oils, and they'll start to fizzle and burn. And all of these are sensitive to heat, light, and oxygen. So you want to find them in dark bottles, and you want to keep them in a bit of a cooler place, and you keep them tightly sealed. So I don't ever recommend burning oils. I'd recommend getting an air diffuser. I love the one from Puzen. It's spelled Puzen, I think, or Puzhen, one or the other. I love that diffuser. It's quiet. It is a more expensive one. There are smaller ones that are cheaper, but I find them a little bit noisy. But so it's just those choices you make. And this one diffuses with water. So you put water in and it diffuses, and it's really nice. Add them in your warm water when you're mopping the floor. And if you just want to deodorize your home, you can even boil some water and just put a couple drops in. And I know I just said don't heat them too much. You're not actually heating them, but you're allowing them to diffuse in the steam from the water. So that can also be a really simple diffuser, a free diffuser. Take a small pot, put some clean water in it, heat it up, and then once it's heated, add your oils, and let that just evaporate into the air. It's a really nice way to diffuse the oils. So there is some information on oils and some information on body care. There's something else I want to say about body care. Oh yeah. The reason I talk about the pure products and body care, and I want to point this out because some products are going to have more ingredients, and something to look out for, and kind of an easy way to find products that have the fewest ingredients or the simplest formulation is to find the ones that don't have water. So especially when we're looking at creams and moisturizers and body care products like that, as soon as water is added to a formulation, then you need to start adding preservatives, because that water has the oxygen, and that is what will start to denature the products. As well, a lot of the edible and food-based natural beauty care products just simply don't have the shelf life as something that's full of preservatives. So you make that choice and you balance with what seems reasonable to you. I see Eliza has a question. On previous video, you mentioned you dry brush your face. Can you talk a little bit about how you do that, please? Any tips would be awesome. Yeah. So I got a little facial dry brush. So it's not the big hardy one that you find, that you use on your whole body. It's a gentler one. And I essentially, what's really cool about dry brushing is that if you use soap on your skin, wait, I need to go back even further. Vitamin D is vital for health. We get vitamin D when the UV rays react with the cholesterol in our skin, and that converts to vitamin D. But it takes up to 48 hours for that reaction to occur. So what happens is that we go to the beach or we're out in the sun, and then we come home and we start like soaping off our whole body. We're actually washing off the vitamin D. Skin brushing doesn't do the same thing. It doesn't have the same kind of cleansing. So what I love to do is dry skin brush. So I skin brush in the morning, my legs, you start at your feet, and I have another video for this. You start at your feet and you work your way up, and then you go from your arms and always towards the heart, and it helps with shedding off your dead and outer skin layer, which is really helpful for several reasons. It helps your skin to breathe better. It also stimulates the sebaceous glands to produce the right amount of oil that your skin needs to have optimal hydration and softness. And so it detoxifies and it stimulates healthy oil production in the skin, giving you smooth, healthy skin, and allows for the vitamin D production. So we reserve the soap for our pits and our bits. And then so with the face, I have a gentler brush. So the brush for my skin is pretty hard and bristly. And you brush it fairly hard. And then so then for your face, you have a lighter brush. And I literally just brush my face and I just scrub it. And it's a little round brush, and I get it from Living Libations. So it's a little round brush that you just scrub, and that's it. And then I'll sometimes rinse with water. Sometimes I'll just wipe with a damp cloth, but I say never. I wash my face with soap after maybe two things. One, after I've done a day of filming and I actually have powder on my face. I never wear a foundation, but when I have makeup on, I'll use soap. And when I come off an airplane, I use soap. Otherwise, and the soap is like this sea gel cleanser. Otherwise, I only skin brush, and I never use soap on my face. And again, like with your skin, whether you have oily skin or dry skin, that skin brush helps your skin to just get into its own natural rhythm, its own natural balance, produce the oils you need to have the healthiest skin possible. The other thing we should talk about, if we're talking about edible beauty care, is diet, because no amount of product is going to reverse your aging, is going to clear up your acne, is going to, get rid of rosacea. Everything that comes out of our skin is usually triggered by two things. Often it's diet. It can also be outside environment or an irritant, but you'll be less reactive to outside irritants if your system is strong, if your body is strong, if you're healthy, if you feel nourished, and if you're avoiding the foods that can cause a lot of the digestive irritants and toxic load. So we're going to tie this all up in a nice bow in a minute. But basically, I talked earlier about the cosmetic load and the toxic load in our cosmetics. And if we are taking on a toxic load in our cosmetics and a toxic load in our diet, our liver essentially is like, blah, 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 blah. I can't handle this. I don't know what to do with all this. And so impurities start circulating through the body, and then they want to bust out of us. And again, if we're not pooping, if we're not exercising and detoxing through the lungs, it starts to come through the skin. And the skin is one of the easiest ways to show health. The skin, the clarity of the eyes, those are all part of health that you can't mask and you can't make up. So it's really important that we take the time to do our daily detox practices, which I talked about in, I can't remember what webinar that was, but the daily detox practices of skin brushing, drinking tons of water, and then we want to eliminate the foods we know cause problems like dairy and like gluten and sugar and alcohol and other kinds of stimulants. People used to think that chocolate caused breakouts. I don't believe it does. I believe it's the sugar and often the milk ingredients in chocolate and that combination with the caffeine. So you want to get rid of all that stuff because none of this will work if you don't first do that. And that includes eczema and psoriasis and all of that. They're all dietary related. They're all functional. Like if you start to heal the gut, the leaky gut, rebalance that microflora, get that water in, start eliminating effectively, healing that gut lining, and then nourishing your body with beauty fueling foods, those foods that are really rich in good fats, that are really rich in protein, that are toxic, chemical free, the beauty just radiates out. And this isn't an issue of weight or not weight, of being overweight or underweight or whatever it is, but the health of the skin is a direct reflection of the health inside the body. The color in your cheeks is a direct reflection of the health of your blood. And so when we start looking at, how we deal with skin issues dietarily or even therapeutically, if we're looking at, eczema and psoriasis, for example, which are typically, often we put cortisone cream on them. That's what you'll get from your dermatologist. But when we look at it from an herbal perspective, what kind of herbs do we start using to treat those conditions? They're not topical. Well, they could be topical to deal with the symptomatic. We start looking at things like burdock and milk thistle. These are the herbs that will cleanse the liver. And so we want to start to look at beauty care from a fully holistic perspective. So we're reducing the chemicals we're using in our products. We're also reducing the chemicals we're consuming. And then what we do is we start to add in the nutritive body care products so that our beauty care becomes our medicine. And we start to add in the nutrition from that we're eating so that the foods we eat will actually support a healthy detoxification system, a healthy lipid balance in the body, and a healthy glow. And that's sort of the entire holistic perspective on beauty care. So where do you purchase your oils? Hi, Lisa. I get my oils from Living Libations is a company that I use and trust. She is a good friend of mine, so I should say that. But I used to use a different brand, and then I met her, and she gave me some oils to try, and it didn't stand up. And this other brand was, one of those big MLM oil companies that I don't think is terrible, but I don't think it's the best available. I think it's one of the good ones, but it's not the best available. And I always want the best available. Alexandra. Hi, Alexandra. She asks, hi, Megan, what hair color do you use or suggest we use? Is in a specific company that makes safer hair color? Thanks. I am blanking on the name off the top of my head. I did a video about a year or 2 years ago with Brian J. Phillips, who runs World Salon here in Toronto. And in that video, we talked about a specific product. So if you Google Megan Telpner hair color, this video will come up and that blog post will come up and you'll find that reference. So there's certain salons that will use it, but you can also request for your hairdresser to get that in. And it might be a great way to introduce your hairdresser to that option because they are professional grade. They just don't have some of the key toxins. One of the most toxic cosmetic products used is dark hair color. I always thought it'd be like the bleaches and the peroxides, but it's actually dark hair color. I don't color my hair. I'm 35 today. It's not my birthday today, but as of today, when we're filming this, I'm 35 and the gray hairs are coming in and I think that I'm just going to have to live with them. I think, my mom has let her hair go completely natural. It's beautiful. She gets compliments all the time on it. So that's something else to consider that, I always say when it comes to beauty care that the best thing to do first and foremost is to reduce the number of products we use and the frequency that we use them. That doesn't mean you need to smell like patchouli oil and stop bathing. Although if you like patchouli, go for it. But it just means that you want to be a little more selective about the amount of cosmetics you're using on a regular basis. That goes for, nail polish, general makeup. For fragrances, perfumes, stop using them. They are disgusting. When you stop using them, and you start to smell other people using them, they just smell like chemicals. And when we walk down the street, we're always like, oh, people smell. There's beautiful natural perfume options using essential oils, 100% pure essential oils that are beautiful. They will not last forever. They will not be persistent, but they shouldn't be. So I was at a resort a couple weeks ago with my husband, and they give massages there, and they were always using this pure coconut oil, which was fine. The last day I got a massage, and I don't know what she used, but I walked out and Josh was like, "You stink." And then I'd showered, I put on a t-shirt, and then my t-shirt, I still smelled, and my t-shirt still smelled. And I came home, we did our laundry, and I was folding laundry. I'm like, the t-shirt still smelled of this perfume, this persistent chemical that was in that oil. So if it's that persistent on our clothes, it's just as persistent in our body. So just something to consider. And I personally think that all fragrance and all air fresheners should be banned from taxis and from buses. And so that's my suggestion. Jessica, hi Jessica. I've started breaking out now that it's summer. My acupuncturist believes it's due to eating too much raw fruits and veggies, which cause heat in the body. I'm only laughing because acupuncturists always tell people not to eat any raw fruits and vegetables. So I've ditched my big raw salads and many of my cold smoothies, sadly, so that my body cools down and my skin heals. Thoughts? It's one theory for sure. I personally, from my experience, I don't think that's a huge problem. It might be other things. It might be that you're sweating more. That can naturally cause your skin to break out as your body's detoxifying. It could be that, that could be part of it, but that it's a very traditional focus. Typically in Chinese medicine, they don't want anyone eating any raw food ever. I know that when I went through Chinese medicine healing from Crohn's, I was asked to eliminate raw food, which I did, and I think actually helped with my healing because of what I was dealing with. But I still think dairy, gluten, and sugar are the biggest culprits when it comes to skin health. And also, if you are eating raw food, raw salads, raw smoothies, you're getting a lot of produce in a high concentration. And so you want to ensure that those things are chemical free. So you can try it and see what happens. What's kind of cool about skin and acne is that you can usually start to see results pretty quickly. You won't have 100% clearance quickly. 100% usually takes actually one of the longest things to heal. But you also 100% need to trust your body. And if drinking smoothies doesn't feel right for you, then don't do it. But if you feel like it's a healthy thing to do and you feel like it's good for you, not because you've read it anywhere, but because it feels good in your body, that's going to be your best messenger of all. Are there any oils that you would start off buying? Don't want to get too many at once. There's a couple that I usually have around that I think are pretty multi-purpose. If I were to say to get two, I'd go with peppermint and lavender. You can pretty much do everything with those two. And then, it's really such a personal thing. I love using the trees as aromatherapy, like white fir, balsam fir, Douglas fir, cedar. I love the tree oils, and I love flowers. So jasmine and ylang, and I usually buy the Living Libation blend products, but it's really, up to you and the smells that really make you feel good. But peppermint and lavender are two great ones to start with. Okay, so no more questions right now. I'm going to make a couple things. We're going to do a little bit of a demo. So let's, let me just see if you have any questions, please post them. That's what we're here for. So while I'm seeing if there's any questions based on this, I'm just going to go through some of my favorite edible beauty care ingredients that I have here. So I keep showing my coconut oil. I love coconut oil. I use this as a base of most of my oils. I have an edible beauty care online workshop that actually comes with a tutorial that shows the benefits of the different oils for different skin and health needs. So with this one, I use coconut oil as my base. You can do a lot of things with this. You can use it as a moisturizer. You can use it as a hair, little hair anti-frizz. You can use it as a hair mask. I use it as my base for my toothpaste. You can use it in deodorant. So there's so much you can do with coconut oil. Again, if you go over to today's post, the Arbonne post, there's something will pop up or a little link in there that will take you to my resources page where I have all of this stuff there. Baking soda. So baking soda can be used as an exfoliant once in a while. It's very alkalinizing. Always use food, the kind of baking soda you would use in your food. So not the Arm & Hammer that you use to deodorize your fridge or clear the blockage in your drain, but the kind you would use with food. I use this for in my toothpaste. You use it for cleaning. You can use it as a gentle exfoliant on your skin. And of course, you can use it to scrub. Cider vinegar, another one of my favorites. And again, food, the one we use with food. So apple cider vinegar, you can dilute 10-1, makes an amazing toner. I'm going to show you how I use this as a tooth whitener. You can use it as a scalp and hair rinse, really tonifying for the scalp if you have dandruff or dry scalp or psoriasis in your scalp. Sea salt is a great beauty product. I use it in scrubs. I use it a little bit in my toothpaste. Honey, raw honey is an amazing one to mix with coconut oil. Use it as a hair mask. It's really good on burns. If you burn your hand in the kitchen, put some honey on it. The enzymes help it to heal super fast without blistering. Really rich in enzymes and B vitamins, which are B vitamins activate the sort of worker bees in the body. So I'm going to show you how to make a couple of my favorite natural beauty care products. I'm just going to turn this here and let me just have to see to make sure you're seeing what I want you to see. Okay, so let's start with one of my favorite simple things. Where can I put this where you'll see it? Right here. And that is a basic self-tanner. So what we're going to use for this is a raw cacao powder, the exact same one I would be using. Let me just tip this a little bit more. The exact same one I use in my smoothies. And I just take a little bit of cacao powder. So cacao powder is really rich in magnesium and antioxidants, which makes it a really awesome thing to have absorbing transdermally through the skin and being used in beauty care products. It's also really rich in antioxidants. So a lot of the beauty care ingredients that we see advertised, they always say like it's got vitamin C and rich in antioxidants and all those things. So it's really good because it helps fight off free radicals. So it can actually help your skin repair itself. So here we go. And we're going to I'll send out an email later today with a bunch of the resources that I've mentioned so that you can actually get them. So you don't have to take crazy notes. So that's basically it. I've made a self-tanner. Oh, I need to move my mic over. Are we better now? Okay. I moved the mic over. Okay. So we've made this little self-tanner. Now watch and learn. It's a miracle. Everyone in the kitchen's watching now. So just take a little bit, right? I'm kind of tan, so this might not show up that well and the lighting's not awesome, but you literally massage this into your skin. And if you want that little sun-kissed glow, this will do it. Plus, you're going to smell like chocolate and coconut, which is delicious. And usually, I don't know if you can see, usually you can see a difference. You can, I don't know. I don't think the lighting's in my favor today to show off, but I can see the difference and wow, is it awesome. So that's all you have to do. And then you can just take this and eat it. You can mix some honey in and then it's like a fudge. So this is such a simple way to get a little bit of that sun-kissed glow without using all of those carcinogenic toxic chemicals. And we definitely don't want to be venturing into the toxic electric beach. So a very simple self-tanner, mind-blowing, right? So good. And then you can drizzle this on your ice cream. And this is a very similar recipe. I usually just take this and add a little bit of honey and that becomes my chocolate crackle on ice cream. So did we like that one? Let me move the microphone back over. Did we like that one? The other one, Lisa's asked, where can you get raw honey in Toronto? Any health food store will have raw unpasteurized honey. So what you want to look for is sometimes it'll say raw honey on it. Sometimes it will say unpasteurized. Usually farmers markets are my favorite place to get it because then you're getting direct from the beekeeper. This is just a Dutchman's Gold. They have this at most health food stores, even grocery stores. So raw honey will naturally crystallize. That's okay. If you dip it in warm water, it will melt up. It's all good in the hood. So the other one I want to share with you today is, it's a little experimental because sometimes it blows up in my face, literally. I needed to have some water to get through this one. Okay, so the next one, this is really fun. And when we were filming this, I'm not going to lie, we recently redid all the videos for the Culinary Nutrition Expert program, which is awesome, by the way. And I know a bunch of you on here have already taken it. For those of you who haven't, you should. We start September 17th. But when we were actually filming this, I kept putting too much they kept putting too much baking soda involved, and the whole thing literally was exploding. But what I'm going to do is show you my favorite tooth whitener. So what you need to know about, oh, I actually need, let me just grab something. Good thing we're in the kitchen today. I think we broke that shot glass. I'll use this little mason jar. This will work. So those tooth whiteners, man, oh man. Yes, they whiten your tooth, but they do it by thinning the enamel. So what happens is, like, yes, your teeth look whiter, but then they also stain more readily. They become more sensitive, and you need to whiten them more often. And the conventional tooth whiteners at your dentist, holy moly, please don't use those. Those are very, very bad. It's just full of chemicals. Again, for something that could be avoided by, I use straws all the time. You can get sort of a more natural based tooth whitening toothpaste. Usually they have clay in them and a little bit of baking soda. But I'm going to show you today my tooth whitener. And what I use for this, I have no idea how this is going to go down. So thank you in advance for your understanding. But I'm using some cider vinegar, and oops, that was too much. We don't want to waste this gold. Okay, so I've got some cider vinegar ready to go, and I've got my baking soda. So I'm going to take some baking soda just in a spoon, and I don't have a toothbrush here because I left it in. Amy, who keeps us tidy around here, I might have cleaned with it, so I didn't want to risk it. But we're going to lower the microphone in case this. I can't talk while I do this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put baking soda on my teeth and rub it all around, and then I swish with cider vinegar. If you have a toothbrush handy, you can dip your toothbrush into here and then brush it all in your teeth. And then once you swig the cider vinegar, you carefully insert the toothbrush into your mouth and you brush. And it's going to fizzle in like old school science projects with volcanoes where you'd make them erupt by combining baking soda and vinegar. Same thing, but it's going to happen in your mouth. And what happens is the plaque and that buildup literally jumps off your teeth. You swish, you rinse, you're golden. Your teeth feel amazingly clean, like you just came from the dentist. No harm done to the enamel. It alkalinizes your mouth. So what we want to do with holistic dental care is not just kill plaque. And a lot of what they use with mouthwashes actually makes your mouth more acidic, which allows for that bacteria to proliferate. What you want to do is alkalinize that whole environment so that it's not the ideal environment for that bacteria to proliferate. We want that bacteria dead and gone, and an alkaline environment in the mouth is an amazing way to do it. And what we're using right now are two alkalinizing ingredients, baking soda and apple cider vinegar. Okay, so we're going to do this. Again, I apologize in advance. It could come out my nose. We just don't know what will happen. You'll find your own balance, but don't go too heavy on any of this to start. So here we go. We're scrubbing our teeth just like that. And then we rinse with some cider vinegar. You can hear it fizzing in the bowl. And just like that, oh, amazing. I just need a little more water. And all good. So this kind of treatment, it was super easy. This kind of treatment you can do ongoing. You can do it daily. It's no big deal. No problem. Won't affect your teeth. For a once in a while treatment, what you might want to consider doing is hydrogen peroxide rinse. So be very, very mindful with this. With hydrogen peroxide, again, it's a 10-to-1 ratio, similar to what I said with cider vinegar if you're using it as a toner. A 10-to-1 ratio, you want to get food grade hydrogen peroxide. The kind that I use is the kind you find in the health food store in the sprouting section. And you can do that about once a week, and that will also help seriously whiten your teeth without affecting the enamel. The hydrogen peroxide is also it's really something you should always have in your bathroom, and at least once a week, just take your toothbrush and stick it in the hydrogen peroxide, really kill off that bacteria so you don't keep re-inoculating your mouth with unhelpful bacteria. So there's a couple of my most favorite beauty care products. With these ingredients I showed you, the baking soda, cider vinegar, apple, coconut oil, sea salt, cacao, and honey, you could pretty much make everything you need. The sea salt, by the way, when I make a toothpaste, it'll often be equal parts baking soda to coconut oil, and I'll put a bit of sea salt in there, sometimes a bit of vitamin C. We all know, right, that bleeding gums is sort of an early symptom of scurvy. It's a sign of vitamin C deficiency. So having that in your mouth can be a little bit helpful, especially if you're dealing with bleeding gums. And tooth sensitivity can be healed with the right essential oils as well. So using things like clove and cinnamon and neem oil, those are really good for dental health, for gum health. And so when you stop acidifying the mouth and start instead working to alkalinize it and create an inhospitable environment for those bacteria, you develop less cavities. You're actually able to heal cavities. But also what's incredible is that your gums start to regenerate. If you have receding gums and all those kinds of issues, they'll regenerate themselves. A great book is Holistic Dentistry. And again, we will send you an email which has all this information, assuming you've RSVP'd for today's live session. Okay, so we have 15 minutes left, and I'm devoting this to your questions. I see. Oh, what do we have going on? Hey, Lisa, I'm in Scarborough too. I go to, okay, we've got a resource. Oh, hi, Isabel. We've got a resource for the large honey. Lisa, depending on what you do, you can actually often buy it in bulk. So Dutchman's Gold honey, you can actually buy a massive amount of it. So you can do that. But I see that Holly's got some options for you. And yes, Holly, I am the queen of experimentation. And thanks for the recommendations in Boulder on my last day, but we had a great time. How many times do you swish and rinse? Just once. You can do it once or twice. What I recommend doing, and I didn't put a lot of baking soda in, and I didn't go overboard with it because I really didn't want it to come out my nose, because then I felt like you'd be afraid to try it. But usually I go overboard and it's like just foaming like crazy. And so usually what I do is I rinse and I brush just until it stops foaming, and then I spit and I'm done. So once should be good. It's good to use a brush because then you can get actually behind your teeth. And so that can be really helpful. But my teeth feel amazing. Do we have any other questions? Katie, hi, Katie. So nice to meet you. If anyone is looking for a great resource on holistic dentistry, I love Nadine's book, Holistic Dental Care. It has been a game changer for my dental health. That was the one I was referring to. And again, if you go over to the Arbonne post, you can log in, and I've got my entire list of resources there. Like all the blog posts I've ever written, all the videos I've done, my favorite books on natural beauty care, everything is right there. So please take a moment and have a look. What do you think about oil pulling for oral cleansing? I've heard a lot about people talk about it, and I think it's a great thing to do. I can't, I don't like to recommend things that I haven't personally tried before. So, that's why Holly's like, I'm the super self-experimenter, because I will try anything. But there's something, and I have to get over this, and I will try it, I promise. But there's something about the oil swishing my mouth that continuously makes me gag. So I've never been able to do it long enough. I don't actually like the taste of fat so much. But I'm working on it. I've added more fat to my diet, so maybe that will help me get used to it. But from what I understand, it's an awesome way to help detoxify and cleanse the mouth. But I recommend you sort of work your way up gradually, because it can have a detoxifying effect, and sort of depending on where you're at in your life, you always, whenever you're trying anything new, you just want to start small and then work your way up. But great question, Jude. And it's a very popular topic. And I think what I need to do is do a video on it and try it myself. And then I can tell you for sure what I think. Do we have any other questions pending? Well, while I wait for the questions to go up, because there is a time delay, if there's no more questions, we're going to wrap her up. And I want to thank you for joining me. But a couple of things I want to tell you about. One is on my blog today, I have a link to a feature on my, and Jude says she gags too. There's something I want to say about health. Because if you don't enjoy the process, it's not going to be the most healing option for you. So don't ever think you need to do something just because someone says it's good for you. You also have to either learn to love the process, love it outright, or you just decide, hey, that's not for me. But yeah, so July 15th. Oh no, what I was going to say is over on my blog, and we're going to get a permanent button up for this as well. But over on my blog, I have the Arbonne review post, but on there, you'll see a little box if you scroll down and you can click to get my full beauty care resources page. It's totally free. And then also I have an edible beauty care online course, which you can register for. It's not free, but it's awesome. And July 15th, which you should all come join over at theculinarynutrition.com, my school. We're hosting a free online conference all about culinary nutrition and good food. And I've interviewed amazing, amazing people about everything from we actually talk about beauty care with some of them, but beauty care and life and health and business and food. And it's a great conference. It's completely free. It's going to be a one-day live online event. So please make sure you register for that. Totally free. And then if you loved today's class, you love edible beauty care, and you really are into how we can start to use food for healing in all senses of the word and all senses of our lives, I'd love you to join me for the Fall Culinary Nutrition Expert Program, which starts the 17th. And looking on here, Sonia's a grad, Katie's a grad, Holly's a grad, Sarah's a grad. So there's loads of people on here who participated in that program as well. And I'm sure they'll tell you it was awesome and life-changing and all that. Right, ladies? Okay, so for the questions, keep them coming because when they stop, we're going to call it quits today. When you use a cleanser on your face, what do you use? And what do you use to moisturize? So I don't, for a cleanser on my face, as I mentioned earlier, I use it very rarely, maybe once a month. Usually if I have to do TV or something and put powder and eyeliner and all that gunk on my face, I'll use it then, and I'll use it after I get off an airplane because I'm a total germaphobe. But I use the one, it's a C cleansing gel, I think. It's from a company called Seaflora out in BC. That's kind of the only one I use. The other thing you can do, which is really nice, and I actually do this when, like for my photo shoot for my book, when they actually had to use foundation on me because I was only getting my makeup done in the morning and we were shooting for 12 hours. But oil is an amazing way to get makeup off and to clean your face. It's called oil cleansing. So you do it with coconut oil, but jojoba oil is actually one of the best for that, where you actually put a little bit of oil on a cotton cloth and you just literally wipe your face down, and you can leave it on. So you don't need a lot, but that's a really amazing way to pull impurities from your skin. So yeah, that's what I use to clean my skin. And for moisturizer, I'll use a little dab of coconut oil. I use a little bit of jojoba. I also use the, oh shoot, what's it called? Rose Glow, I think it is, a face cream from Living Libations. All right. Any other questions? No questions? Then we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank all of you so much for joining me during your lunch hour. If you loved these YouTube live events, post a comment below this video and let me know. This was an experiment to see if we could get you to come out and play, if we'd get you to participate. So if you loved it, leave a comment below and subscribe to my channel, but also tell me what you would love to see on more events. What topics would you love to cover? We've covered awesome life living. We've covered digestion. We've just done edible beauty care. You know that I can talk forever and ever about just about anything related to health and happiness and the good life and business and all these things that help make our worlds go round. So please, So please post that link below. Oh, I see a question. What do I use for hair care? I use pretty much everything I use is from Living Libations. I use their shampoo and I shampoo my hair about once a week to every 10 days, which takes training. My hair I just watched it this morning, so it's a little bit fluffy. And I just changed climates drastically from the desert climate of Boulder, Colorado to Toronto. So it's a little bit fluffy, but that's what I use. And I wash just once a week. And are there natural makeup brands that you love and recommend? I don't use a lot of makeup. I think there's a mascara. I think it's called Pure. And there's a lipstick called Ilia. But again, all of this is listed on that resource page that I mentioned. So if you go to Arbonne, it's got all of the beauty care products that I would recommend and that I use. And anything you recommend for leave-on face masks, hair masks? I make my own. So I have, again, on that resource page, I have a list of some of my favorite recipes for these things. Also in the Edible Beauty Care, there's a ton of recipes that comes with that has all of those recipes. So there's so many options for face masks, hair masks. Yeah, and there's a lot in my cookbook, but that's not it. So head over to that resources page and that will help. There's a little section there on recipes too. So thank you everyone for joining. And yes, watch your inbox. We'll send an email later today with sort of a summary of the information and also a direct link to that resources page if you're not already signed up. So make sure you're on that list otherwise. But thank you so much for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. And I hope to see you in our conference on July 15th, the Culinary Nutrition Conference. It's going to be so fun. There's going to be lots of live and interactive events, completely free, a really awesome way for us to connect as a community and to connect with the rock stars that I got to interview, which was super fun. And we still have a couple more that I get to do. So thank you again for joining, everybody, and have a great day. Bye.